All right, so welcome to another episode of the Lane Agribusiness Model. And today I will be taking a practical route towards everything we have been discussing all this while, especially when you want to choose the value chain you want to play in. And before I jump on the value chain you want to play in, using catfish as a practical example, which is what we have been playing in, and then how profitable it is and the different commitment that it takes, I will quickly run through the three key factors that you must consider when you are planning to go into agriculture part-time as an employee that is working 9 to 5. Now, the first thing that was considered in that particular series was you must consider your time. How available are you? If you are working full-time 9 to 5, there are some value chain you cannot play in. If you play in it, you will only lose your money and you will have a lot of stress and headache. Secondly, you have to consider your budget. Even at the moment, if you are at a zero budget, it means you have to decide what budget you want to use to go into the industry that you want to play in. After deciding the value chain you want to choose, then you begin to save towards it, because obviously you need money to finance the project. Thirdly, how fast do you want to start generating income? Is it very fast or on the long term? Is it long time alone you are planning on, or both? And like I recommended in that series, it is in your best interest to actually position for the two. There is a way you can get started with generating income fast, while you then pitch and plan for the long term. So with this recap, I will want to jump on a practical example of different value chain, using catfish as an example. So now the number one on the list is the catfish seed production, which is the spawning process. Now, as you can see in this short video, we are currently stripping the parent stock, which we call the brood stock, of eggs, and we will take it through the fertilization process that we then turn to fish. And you'll be seeing the fishes at the end of this production cycle, especially, exactly when they turn 2 weeks. Now, this aspect of the catfish production value chain is the most profitable. As a matter of fact, all things being equal, by the time you are done with your production processes, your running expenses and all that, at the end of the cycle, which is usually 6 weeks, you can earn up to 100% return on your running expenses. It can run up to 200%, sometimes even 300%, depending on the facility that you have in place. Now, as you can see, these fishes, when they are 2 weeks old, looks very active, and in 1 week from these 2 weeks, we begin to make sales. And maximally at the end of 6 weeks, we are going to sell these fishes that you are seeing here. Now, this is the most profitable aspect of the value chain. But at the same time, it is the most technical and the most riskiest part of the value chain. As juicy as it is very technical and very risky. So if you don't have enough technical know-how, you might not be able to play here, as it requires a lot of time consumption too. So if you are a 9 to 5 worker, that particular aspect of the value chain might not be suitable for you. Now, the next stage is the fingerlings production. At number 2 on the value chain is the fingerlings production, as I've mentioned before. Now, this stage also circled out in 6 weeks. And the difference between this value chain and the hatching value chain is the intensity of operation at this level is not that intense. As you can see in the video, those are the size we call fingerlings, or sometimes called post fingerlings. Now, these sizes, the time you give to it is not as much as that of value chain number 1. And the profit at this level also is somewhat reasonable, but not as juicy as that of value chain number 1. At this value chain, you can get between 15 to 40% return in 6 weeks also. Now, this also requires some level of amount of time. Though, if you have the experience, maybe you've gone through some training, you can actually employ somebody and give them the routine of how to do, because at every night you can always look into it. Yes, you can always look into the management practices, and but before you can do this, you must have learned the management practices such that you understand what needs to be done part time, and at the same time you won't take your eyes off it. But it's always good when you are also on ground, because if you are on ground, you are able to better get much more better results. Yes. So now, though both the value chain number one and value chain number two, as technical and time consuming as it is, and as unsuitable as it is for someone doing 9 to 5, there are strategies you can still deploy or that you can use to still play at this level without having to risk your arms and your body, without breaking the bank. But it is the strategy called the learn and earn strategy. Now, what this strategy does is it gives you the opportunity to learn the nitty-gritty of these two production cycles, such that you perfectly understand the management practices that lead to success in these two production value chain, irrespective of their technicalities and their timing. What this does for you is that once you are learning this skill, you have the advantage or the opportunity to as well begin to generate some cash flow while you are still learning, without you having to do the production all by yourself at the moment. To learn more about this, kindly stay with me on this channel. Thank you. See you in the next session. Bye bye.